All right, still with me. Criminal defense attorneys David Bruno and Francis Johnson. David, I'll start with you. The facts of this and how it went down in terms of the victim and how it was described by that victim's rights attorney, I mean, that would make your head spin. This is essentially a victim's rights issue. It's got a good one. I'm not sure if it's enough to get this overturned. Your thoughts on it?
Yeah, a couple points. Number one, I agree with the decision to release and give this man a new trial because of the Brady violations. Number two, the victim's brother, his name was Young Lee, while he didn't have an opportunity to appear in the hearing, did make a statement telephonically to the court saying that he did not oppose the release. Now, I do not agree with the way that the prosecutor handled it. They should have given him notice. They should have brought him to the court. He had rights under the victim's bill and the statutes in that particular state. But I do not believe that the remedy should be to put him back in, especially in light of the brother's comment or statement on the record at the time of the release that he didn't oppose it. I think that there may be some civil violations, that may be some monetary damages for another court, but that should not be putting him back in as a remedy for this violation.
Yeah, Francis, the victims' rights statutes basically ask for a reasonable amount of notice to the victims. What my understanding is and what was suggested there was that they got less than one business day notice that this was going to happen. It came on a Friday, they found out about it on a Sunday, and on a Monday this all happened. Doesn't sound reasonable to me. Where do you think this is going to go?
Well, I agree with my colleague that the Victims' Bill of Rights in Maryland and in states like Georgia afford victims' families the right to have notice so that they can meaningfully participate. And it's fairly strong here in Georgia, and the law is similar in Maryland. It's a black eye on this prosecutor who failed to keep the victim's family informed. Marilyn Mosby came in with a great deal of support as a reformer. 8 years later, having been voted out by the voters and on her way to face her own federal indictment. This is another slight against the very promise of the youngest prosecutor elected in a time when lots of folks wanted to see change. The decision to release this defendant is a good one. The way that the prosecutor handled it is just piss poor.
Yeah, and David Bruno, a former prosecutor yourself, I mean, how much of this do you think was sort of a publicity stunt? I mean, it seems to be that's the suggestion that, you know, they didn't follow the normal process for these things in terms of how quickly he was let out. It was sort of this media event almost, orchestrated perhaps by the prosecutor's office under the circumstances. Is that possible?
I'll tell you, it's an unforced error when it comes to the victim contact. I mean, he's been in for over 20 years. I mean, this is one of the most serious crimes on the books. And the victim's family has been traumatized through this entire process and now come to learn that of the release of the defendant without really an opportunity. Did she have to do a press conference? No, absolutely not. And that just makes it a little bit worse, especially in light of the lack of communication with the victim's family.
You know, now, the prosecutors who originally prosecuted this case, they say there was no Brady violation. Now, the judge, in releasing him when she vacated the conviction, she said that they proved that there was a Brady violation, but the state's attorney is still, the attorney general, excuse me, is still denying it. They say they're going to go back into court and try to get this vacate. They're going to get him back into prison. Now, remember, it happened once before, Francis, because he was found to have had ineffective assistance of counsel, and part of that was there wasn't an alibi witness that was found. Appeals court found that alibi witness wasn't enough to overturn that decision or make a difference if she had been brought to court. Any chance that this particular ruling by the court gets overturned?
I don't think so. I don't think so. It may be said that third time's a charm. Remember, they would be trying him for a third time. His first trial ended in a mistrial in 1999. He was ultimately convicted in 2000. You know, but the clear violation here, when they had an alternative suspect who had motive to kill, who had made statements that he would make the victim in this case disappeared, that he would kill her, that they would fail to disclose that to the defense is just deplorable. And the reason why Brady violations are taken so seriously. And so the prosecutors can try to go back and have it both ways, but they simply won't be able to. I think most interestingly is that the Lee family said that they would have supported the release, especially in light of the failures of the prosecution and the inconsistencies of the evidence in the case. It seems like an unforced error, has been said before, and just a real sad note on what could have been a very important step in this prosecuting team and this prosecutor's office to get it right.
Absolutely, and you just feel for the victim's family, because I mean they have to deal and live through this again, and really all they want is the right person behind bars. You know, they don't want just this guy behind bars, they want the right person behind bars. So, you know, including them in the process, I think, was mandatory, and it wasn't done here, and that's just a shame. All right, guys, stand by. We do have to take a break. Coming up.